Marriage is hard, music, but divorce, that's when the real ugliness comes out. And when you're a real housewife, that ugliness gets broadcast to millions. We're not talking about amicable splits or conscious uncouplings. These are the divorces that destroyed families, exposed criminal empires, and in one heartbreaking case, ended in death. Today, we're breaking down the 8 most toxic divorce storylines in Real Housewives history, complete with court documents, legal evidence, and the devastating truth behind the drama. Let's dive in. We're starting with one of the most painful divorces in Real Housewives of Orange County history, Shannon and David Bohr. Shannon joined Rock in Season 9 in 2014, and from the very first episode, it was clear her marriage was in trouble. What viewers didn't know at the time was that David had been carrying on an 8-month affair with a woman named Nicole McMacken, and Shannon had just found out. Here's where it gets truly toxic. Nicole wasn't just some random woman. She was someone both Shannon and David knew. According to court documents filed in Orange County Superior Court in December 2017, David's affair began in June 2013 and lasted until February 2014. He also made it clear he expected her to be a traditional housewife and have children immediately. But the real toxicity exploded in September 2018 during Season 3 filming. A cameraman for our Hop, identified in court documents as Orville Palmer, accused Michael of sexual assault. He literally recycled his affair gift for his wife. The psychological torture continued for years. David refused couples therapy, showed no remorse on camera, and according to Shannon's later interviews, made her feel like the affair was somehow her fault. In a 2018 interview with Entertainment Tonight, Shannon stated, "I gave him 3 years to show me that he wanted to work on our marriage. He didn't." On December 1st, 2017, after 17 years of marriage, Shannon filed for divorce. The court documents revealed the full extent of their financial situation. They owned multiple properties, had significant debts, and music were facing foreclosure on their Cabo San Lucas vacation home. But David wasn't done being toxic. During the divorce proceedings, he fought Shannon on spousal support, tried to reduce child support for their 3 daughters, and according to Shannon's testimony, hid assets. The divorce took nearly 2 years to finalize. The final settlement in April 2019 awarded Shannon $1.4 million in cash, $10,000 monthly spousal support for 3 years, and $7,650 monthly child support. David kept the $5 million Tustin home, while Shannon received the Newport Beach rental property. The aftermath: Shannon, music, lost significant weight due to stress, developed anxiety, and spent 2 seasons rebuilding her life on camera. David quickly moved on. He married his new girlfriend, Leslie, in October 2020, less than 18 months after the divorce was finalized. What makes this divorce so music toxic isn't just the affair. It's the years of gaslighting, the public humiliation, and watching David show more affection to his affair partner than he ever showed Shannon during their attempts at reconciliation. This next divorce doesn't just qualify as toxic, it ended in tragedy. Taylor Armstrong joined the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in Season 1 in 2010. Her husband, Russell Armstrong, appeared occasionally, but from the beginning, something felt off. Taylor seemed nervous, anxious, and would flinch at certain topics. By Season 2, the truth came out. Taylor had been suffering years of alleged physical and emotional abuse. In July 2011, Taylor filed for divorce from Russell, citing irreconcilable differences. But the documents filed in Los Angeles Superior Court told a darker story. In her petition, Taylor requested music a restraining order against Russell, claiming he had been physically abusive throughout their 6-year marriage. She included photographic evidence of injuries, including pictures of bruising and what she claimed was a broken orbital bone from an alleged assault in 2010. Taylor later revealed in her 2012 memoir, Hiding from Reality, that the abuse began early in their marriage. She described incidents where Russell allegedly slammed her against walls, verbally bared her, music, and isolated her from friends and family. But there was another layer to the toxicity: financial fraud. Russell was facing multiple lawsuits totaling over $1.5 million. He had been sued by investors, business partners, and even friends. Music. According to bankruptcy documents filed in 2005, Russell had a pattern of failed businesses and mounting debts. One particularly disturbing lawsuit came from Russell's former business partner, who claimed Russell had stolen $250,000, music, and failed to repay loans. The legal pressure was mounting, and Russell knew the divorce and abuse allegations would be featured on Season 2. On August 15, 2011, Music, just 1 month after Taylor filed for divorce, and days before Season 2 was set to premiere, Russell Armstrong committed suicide by hanging himself at a friend's home on Mullen Drive. He was 47 years old. He left behind a suicide note, but the contents have never been fully disclosed. What we do know from police reports is that Russell was facing financial ruin, the public exposure of abuse allegations, and the loss of his marriage. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the Real Housewives franchise. Bravo delayed the Season 2 premiere by 2 weeks and re-edited episodes to remove some content related to Russell and the divorce. Taylor was left to raise their daughter Kennedy alone, deal with Russell's massive music debts, which she was not legally responsible for, and process the trauma of both the abuse and the suicide. In multiple interviews, Taylor has stated she does not hold herself responsible for Russell's decision, but the guilt and grief were overwhelming. The toxicity of this divorce extended beyond the couple. Russell's family blamed the show and Taylor for his death. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Taylor and Bravo in 2012, claiming the show's portrayal of Russell drove him to suicide. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed. What makes this the most tragic divorce in Housewives' music history is that it exposed how domestic violence can remain hidden even when cameras are rolling, and how financial pressure and public exposure can have fatal consequences. Taylor has since remarried and has spoken extensively about domestic violence awareness, but the scars from this toxic marriage will never fully heal. If you want to talk about a toxic divorce that played out over a decade, look no further than Teresa and Joe Giudice. Music. Teresa and Joe were married in 1999 and seemed to live a lavish lifestyle in New Jersey. Multiple properties, luxury cars, expensive furniture. But in July 2013, the fantasy came crashing down. Federal prosecutors charged Teresa and Joe with 39 counts of fraud, including conspiracy to commit mail fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, music bankruptcy fraud, and making false statements on loan applications. The indictment revealed they had fraudulently obtained millions in mortgages and loans between 2001 and 2008. Music. According to the indictment filed in the District of New Jersey, the couple submitted fake W-2 forms, fake pay-ups, and fake tax returns to secure approximately $5 million in mortgages and home equity loans. They lied about Joe's employment and income, claiming he made over $15,000 per month when he was actually unemployed. Music. In March 2014, both pleaded guilty to multiple counts of fraud. Teresa was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison at FC1 Danbury in Connecticut. Joe received 41 months at FC1 Music Fort Dix, also in New Jersey. But here's where the toxicity really begins. The prison sentences were staggered, so one parent could stay home with their 4 daughters. Teresa served her time first, from January 2015 to December 2015. During those 11 months, Joe was supposed to be the responsible parent. Instead, according to Teresa's later revelations on RHJ and in interviews, Joe barely held things together. In a 2019 Watch What Happens Live appearance, Teresa admitted Joe called her in prison drunk multiple times and failed to properly care for their daughters. When Teresa was released, it was Joe's turn. He reported to prison in March 2016 and was scheduled for release in March 2019. But there was a massive problem. Joe was not a U.S. citizen. Joe had immigrated to the United States from Italy as a child, but never became a citizen. Because of his felony convictions, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, issued a detainer for his deportation. When Joe was released from federal prison in March 2019, He wasn't freed. He was immediately transferred to ICE custody. He spent 7 months in an immigration detention facility in Pennsylvania fighting deportation while Teresa and their daughters visited him behind glass. In October 2019, Joe lost his deportation appeal and was sent to Italy. He has not been allowed to return to the United States. This is where the marriage finally ended. In a December 2019 interview on Watch What Happens Live, Teresa stated, "I'm not doing a long-distance relationship. I'm not doing it. I want somebody with me every day." In December 2019, after 20 years of marriage, Teresa and Joe announced their separation. The divorce was finalized in September 2020. Music. What makes this divorce so toxic is the slow public deterioration of music their relationship. For years, Teresa stood by Joe. Through the indictment, the guilty plea, the prison sentences, she defended him to her castmates, to music her family, to the public. But Joe's deportation was the final straw. Teresa has since admitted in multiple interviews that Joe was verbally abusive, controlling, and unfaithful during their marriage. In a 2021 interview on the Melissa Gorga On Display Music podcast, Teresa revealed Joe had called her the C word multiple times and made her feel worthless. The financial toxicity also continued post-divorce. Teresa and Joe were ordered to pay $414,000 in restitution, which Teresa has been paying off alone since Joe was deported. She's also solely responsible for raising their 4 daughters, while Joe communicates from Italy via video calls. Joe has since moved on with a girlfriend in the Bahamas. Teresa married Luis Ruelas in August 2022, but that's a whole other toxic situation we'll cover later. The Giudice divorce is toxic because it involved federal crimes, prison time, deportation, and the complete destruction of a family unit, all broadcast on national television for our entertainment. Ramona Singer loves to talk about her fabulous marriage and her incredible husband, Mario. She spent years on the Real Housewives of New York City, bragging about their relationship and how Mario treated her like a queen. So, when news broke in January 2014 that Mario had been cheating on Ramona with a much younger woman, the toxicity was off the charts. The woman's name was Casey Dexter, a 30-something socialite who ran in the same Manhattan circles as Ramona and Mario. According to Page 6, which broke the story on January 14, 2014, Mario and Casey had been having an affair for months. But here's the truly toxic part. Mario was seen publicly with Casey. Multiple sources reported seeing them together at the Regency Hotel bar, having intimate dinners, and even attending events together. Mario wasn't even trying to hide it. When the story broke, Ramona went into full denial mode. She released a statement saying, "Music. The reports were false and that her marriage was fine." Mario did the same, claiming he and Casey were just friends. But the evidence kept mounting. Photos emerged of Mario and Casey together. Witnesses came forward and Rooney cameras captured Ramona's castmates confronting Music her about the affair. In July 2014, Ramona finally filed for divorce in New York Supreme Court, citing that the marriage was irretrievably broken. But even then, she and Mario tried to reconcile on camera. Music Season 6 and 7 of Rooney showed Ramona flip-flopping between wanting to work on the marriage Music and accepting it was over. Mario would appear in episodes being attentive and apologetic, only for new affair details to emerge days later. According to court documents unsealed in 2015, Mario admitted to the affair during divorce proceedings. He acknowledged having a relationship with Casey, but claimed it began after he and Ramona had separated, which directly contradicted witness accounts and photographic evidence. The divorce was finalized in 2016 after 22 years of marriage. The settlement details were kept confidential. But according to public records, Ramona received their Southampton home, valued at approximately $4 million, while Mario kept their New York City apartment. Music. What makes this divorce so toxic is the public humiliation. Mario didn't just cheat, he flaunted his mistress in Ramona's social circles. He attended events with Casey where people knew Ramona. And then there was the gaslighting. Music. For months, Mario denied the affair. Even when confronted with photographic evidence, he made Ramona look foolish for defending him. He told her she was crazy for believing the rumors. In a 2019 interview with Entertainment Tonight, Ramona admitted, "The cheating destroyed me, but the lying, making me feel like I was losing my mind. That was worse." Mario has since married another woman. Ramona remains single and has music stated multiple times she has trust issues with men because of how Mario betrayed her. The singer divorce is toxic because it combined infidelity, public humiliation, gaslighting, and the complete destruction of a woman's self-esteem, all while Bravo cameras, music rolled. Some divorces end quickly, others drag on for years. And then there's Bethany Frankel and Jason Hoppy, a divorce so toxic it took 8 years to finalize. Bethany and Jason met in 2008 and married in March 2010. Their relationship played out on the Real Housewives of New York City and Bethy's spin-off shows, Bethany Getting Married and Bethany Ever After. But behind the cameras, the marriage was crumbling. In December 2012, after less music than 3 years of marriage, Bethany filed for divorce in New York Supreme Court. What followed was one of the nastiest, most drawn-out custody battles in Housewives history. The initial divorce filing was straightforward. Irreconcilable differences, request for primary custody of their daughter Brynn, and division of assets. But Jason fought back hard. According to court documents, Jason wanted 50-50 custody music and claimed Bethany was an unfit mother because of her work schedule and lifestyle. He accused her of putting her business empire worth an estimated $100 million from the skinny girl sale ahead of their daughter. Bethany countered with explosive allegations. Music. In court filings from 2013, she accused Jason of verbal and emotional abuse, claiming he called her vile names in front of Brynn and made threatening statements. The legal battle became even more toxic in 2017 when Jason was arrested and charged with stalking and harassment. According to the criminal complaint filed in Manhattan Criminal Court on January 27, 2017, Jason sent Bethany hundreds of threatening emails and text messages between November 2016 and January 2017. The messages included statements like, "I will destroy you," and threats related to custody of Brynn. Jason also allegedly showed up at Brynn's school unannounced multiple times, violating their custody agreement. In May 2017, Jason pleaded guilty to attempted harassment and was ordered to stay away from Bethany. But the divorce still wasn't finalized. For years, the custody battle continued. According to legal fees disclosed in court documents, Bethany spent over $3 million on divorce attorneys between 2012 and 2020. Jason's legal fees were estimated at over $1 million. The toxicity reached its peak when details of their court battles leaked to the press. We learned that Jason had been living in Bethy's Tribeca apartment, which she owned before they married, and refused music to move out. He stayed there for years, forcing Bethany to rent another apartment. According to a 2016 New York Post article, Jason claimed he had a right to stay in the apartment because it was the marital home. Bethany argued in court filings that he was essentially squatting in her music, $5 million property out of spite. The apartment battle alone lasted until 2016, when a judge finally ordered Jason to vacate. But even then, the divorce wasn't done. The custody negotiations continued. Jason wanted equal time with Brynn. Bethany Music wanted primary custody. They battled over holiday schedules, summer vacations, and even what school Brynn would attend. Finally, in January 2021, 8 years after the initial filing, the divorce was finalized. The settlement terms were confidential, but according to page 6, Bethany was granted primary custody of Brynn, now 11 years old. Jason received visitation rights, but significantly less time than he wanted. The financial settlement reportedly left Jason with very little. He did not receive spousal support, did not get a portion of Bethy's skinny girl sale money, which occurred before they married, music, and only received a small portion of the marital assets. What makes this divorce the most drawn-out and toxic in Housewives history is the sheer length of the legal battle and the emotional warfare. 8 years of court dates, custody negotiations, criminal charges, and music public mudslinging. In her 2023 podcast, Bethany stated, "The divorce took longer than the marriage. That tells you everything. Some marriages are toxic from the very beginning. And that's exactly what we saw with Michael and Ashley Darby on The Real Housewives of PTOAC. Michael and Ashley had a 29-year age gap. When they married in 2014, Ashley was 25 and Michael was 54. The power dynamic was completely unbalanced from day one. Ashley joined rope in Season 1 in 2016, and immediately viewers questioned the relationship. Michael owned multiple properties, was a successful real estate developer in the D.C. area, and had significant wealth. Ashley worked at a restaurant when they met. The red flag started early. In Season 1, Michael made inappropriate comments about Ashley's body on camera, including pressuring her to lose weight and critiquing her appearance. According to the criminal complaint filed in Montgomery County Circuit Court on September 6, 2018, Palmer alleged that Michael Darby grabbed and groped his buttocks without permission at a cast event being filmed at Monique Samuel's home. Palmer told police that when he turned around, Michael Music smiled at him and made a flirtatious comment. Other crew members witnessed the incident and production immediately reported it to authorities. Michael was Music charged with felony second-degree assault and misdemeanor improper sexual contact, charges that carried up to 11 years in prison. Ashley stood by Michael publicly, claiming the accusations were false and that her husband would never do such a thing. But behind the scenes, according to her later interviews, she was devastated and questioning everything. Music. In November 2018, the Montgomery County State's attorney dropped the charges, citing lack of evidence and the unwillingness of witnesses to testify, but the damage was done. In September 2021, Ashley filed for divorce after 7 years of marriage. The filing in Prince George's County Circuit Court cited irreconcilable differences, but Ashley's public statements told a different story. In a November 2021 interview with Bravo, Ashley admitted the age difference, the different stages of life, the things we want. It all became too much, but there were darker revelations. In interviews throughout 2022, Ashley hinted that Michael had been unfaithful multiple times and that she had turned a blind eye because of financial dependence and pressure to maintain the marriage. The divorce proceedings revealed the extent of their wealth. According to public documents, Michael's net worth was estimated at $20 million. Ashley requested significant spousal support, primary custody of their 2 sons, and a portion of Michael's real estate holdings. The divorce was finalized in April 2022. While the exact settlement terms are confidential, sources close to the situation told Page 6 Music that Ashley received a substantial financial package, including spousal support for several music years and child support. What makes this divorce toxic is the power imbalance, the sexual assault allegations, the public humiliation, and the fact that Ashley stayed far longer than she should have because of financial dependence. In a 2023 interview, Ashley admitted, "I was 25 when I married a man in his 50s. I didn't understand what I was signing up for, the control, the expectations. It took years to realize I deserved better. The Darby divorce is toxic because it exposed how wealth and age gaps can create relationships built on control rather than love." Music. Imagine finding out your husband filed for divorce by reading it on Twitter. That's exactly what happened to Portia Williams. Portia joined the Real Housewives of Atlanta in Season 5 in 2012, newly married to former NFL quarterback Kordell Stewart. Their relationship seemed solid on camera. Kordell was the provider, Portia was the supportive wife. But behind the scenes, the marriage was extremely controlling and toxic. According to Portia's later revelations, Kordell dictated what she wore, who she could be friends with, how she spent money, and even what she ate. In her 2021 memoir, The Pursuit of Portia, she described the relationship as emotionally abusive. Kordell didn't want Portia to work, didn't want her going out with the RHOA cast without him, and monitored her phone and social media. The control was suffocating. Then, on March 22, 2013, Portia was blindsided. Music TMZ broke the news that Kordell had filed for divorce in Fulton County Superior Court in Georgia. Portia found out the same way the public did, by seeing it online. In a tearful interview on RHO Season 5, Portia revealed, "I woke up and my phone was blowing up. People were asking me about my divorce. I had no idea what they were talking about." Cordell had filed without telling Portia, without any warning, and then went completely silent. He changed the locks on their Atlanta mansion, cut off her credit cards, and Music refused to communicate except through lawyers. The divorce filing revealed Cordell's true colors. According to court documents, he claimed the marriage was irretrievably broken and listed the separation date as January, Music 2013, 2 months before Portia even knew there was a problem. He also requested that Portia receive nothing in the divorce: 0 spousal support, 0 property division, 0 financial assistance. Cordell argued that Portia had not contributed financially to the marriage and therefore deserved nothing. But there was another toxic layer: rumors about Cordell's sexuality. For years, there had been speculation and whispers. In Season 5, cast member Kenya Moore made veiled comments about Cordell, which sent Portia into a rage, Music, and led to their infamous reunion fight. Portia has never confirmed whether the rumors played a role in the divorce, but in her memoir, she hinted that there were secrets in Music, the marriage she's never fully disclosed. The divorce was finalized in December 2013. According to the settlement terms, Portia received minimal financial support, only temporary alimony, and no portion of Cordell's NFL earnings or assets acquired before the marriage. Portia walked away from the marriage essentially broke. She had to move back in with her mother and rebuild her life from scratch. What makes this divorce so toxic is the complete lack of respect and communication. Cordell controlled Portia throughout the marriage, then discarded her publicly without warning, and tried to leave her with nothing. In multiple interviews since, Portia has stated, "That divorce taught me my worth. I'll never let a man control me like that again." PK and Dorit Kemsley have spent years on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, projecting an image of wealth and music luxury, designer clothes, multi-million-dollar homes, exotic vacations. But behind the facade was a mountain of debt and a marriage built on financial toxicity. PK came into the marriage with a troubled financial history. In 1996, he declared bankruptcy in the UK, leaving behind approximately $3.5 million in debt. He had a pattern of failed businesses and lawsuits. But when he met Dorit in 2011, he presented himself as a successful businessman and investor. They married in 2015 and joined RHBH in 2016. Almost immediately, the lawsuits started piling up. In 2017, the Bellagio Casino in Las Vegas sued PK for $1.2 million in unpaid gambling debts. According to court documents filed in Clark County District Court in Nevada, PK had received casino markers, essentially loans between 2008 and 2010, and never, Music, repaid them. Then came the Boy George lawsuit. In 2018, British singer Boy George sued PK for $250,000, claiming PK had failed to pay him for work related to a documentary project years earlier. The lawsuit was eventually settled out of court, but the biggest financial scandal involved Dorit's swimwear line, Beverly Beach. In 2018, her former business partner filed a lawsuit claiming Dorit NP and PK owed over $200,000 in unpaid loans related to the business. The case dragged on for years. In 2020, businessman Nikos Kourgi sued PK for $1.2 million, claiming PK had defaulted on loans. That lawsuit was also settled confidentially. The pattern was clear. PK borrowed money, made big promises, and then failed to repay his debts. But Dor stood by him publicly, defending his character and dismissing the lawsuits as business disputes. On our hub, she and PK projected success while privately drowning in debt. Then came the breaking point in May 2023. After years of financial stress and public scrutiny, PK and Dor announced their separation. The announcement came via a joint statement on Instagram. "We have been working on our marriage but have made the difficult decision to separate." In September 2023, Dokor filed for divorce in Los Angeles Superior Court Music after 9 years of marriage. The court filings revealed the extent of their financial troubles. According to documents, they owed creditors hundreds of thousands of dollars, were facing multiple active lawsuits, and had significant tax liens. The toxic music part, PK fought Dorit on custody and financial support. According to sources close to the situation who spoke to US Weekly, PK claimed Dorit lived beyond their means and contributed to their financial problems. The divorce is still ongoing as of 2024, with custody negotiations over their 2 children and financial asset division still being litigated. What makes this divorce toxic is the years of financial deception, the mountain of unpaid debts, and the fact that they maintained a luxurious lifestyle while allegedly stiffing creditors and business partners. Multiple lawsuits have alleged fraud, breach of contract, and financial manipulation. Music. And through it all, Dorit and PK presented themselves on Robe as successful, wealthy, and glamorous. The facade has finally crumbled, and the divorce is exposing the financial house of cards they built together. These 8 divorces prove that reality TV fame comes with a dark price. But they also show incredible strength. Women who survived abuse, exposed fraud, and rebuilt their lives from nothing. Behind every reunion argument and dramatic tagline, music, are real people experiencing real trauma. These aren't just storylines for our entertainment. They're cautionary tales about recognizing toxicity before it's too late. Which divorce shocked you most? Drop a comment below. And remember, leaving a toxic relationship isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. Thanks for watching.